now it is pleasure to see the morning. Below the sign. So good morning everyone, and I believe that you are able to hear me. So this is Dr. Manga Sharma, online secretary for the International Short-Term Training Program, which in this game its popularity is ISTTP-4 with a chosen topic on methods, modeling, data, and tools for environmental conservation. Under component A, enhancing quality and excellence. Gustav 2.0 speak at commissioning and state directorate for education government of Pakistan, India, organized by Raj Rishi Government of Thomas College, Alwar, which is popularly known as others, is signing in from Jubilee Hall of Raj Rishi College campus. So I welcome you all. On the behalf of the principal, Professor Dr. Mukam Singh Ji, and the organizing committee, I welcome you all to the second day of ISTTP-4. We had a wonderful first day, which was very, very successful. Welcome everyone with a smile. Look on the new days as another special gift from your creator, another golden opportunity to complete what you were unable to finish yesterday. Be a self-structure. Let your first start and the dream of success and following action. That means certain people through your entire day. Today will never happen again. Don't waste it on what start or not start at all. You are not born. आप सभी का इंटरनेशनल शॉर्ट ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम 4 हेतु से मिलने बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मां सरस्वती ज्ञान चेतना मां सरस्वती को समझ ज्ञान साहित्य संगीत और मां सरस्वती की आराधना करते हुए हम इस ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम के दूसरे दिन की शुरुआत करते हैं। We are beginning the second day of ISTTP-4 by examining Goddess Saraswati and worshiping her and seeking her benefits. For a small past recap from the first day of ISTTP-4, we have a modern inauguration session and we have certain visits during the inauguration, and we have an opening and the unveiling of the whole ICMS 21. We had wonderful two keynote speakers who are eminent scientists of their field. We have Dr. C. Lekara from JNU, and we have Dr. Sai Leela from Annamalai University, Tamil Nadu. After that, we had a report of and feedback, which was conducted by one of the You carry Mother Earth with you. She is not outside of you. Mother Earth is just an environment. It is definitely inside of the being. It is possible to have a real communication with the Earth, which is the highest form of prayer. We forget that the water is hiding in the life cycle. Mahatma Gandhi always spoke, and this was also quoted by the political Sharma, who is associated with the Parliament, that Earth has enough resources to complete our need, but not our need. And basically, in this materialistic world, we are the whole greed. And this greed has increased the poverty. This greed has increased the poverty in the world. And my dear friends, I would like to bring you kind attention that SDG goal number 1, Sustainable Development Goal number 1, that no problem of poverty by 2030. We have to eradicate extreme poverty for all the people in the world. Because till the poverty exists on the earth, who will think of protecting their land? No one. Because it's a human tendency. It's a living tendency. Because that's our person the chief of the brain. So globally, the number of people living in extreme poverty declined from 36% in 1990 to 8% by 2015. By the pace and the pace of change is deaccelerating and in COVID-19 crisis is reversing the case of progress in the fight against poverty. And I would also like to give you a background is that the book which was unveiled today, yesterday, of ISTTP 2021, that was on this COVID situation. That because of the COVID, how the economy of the world has taken effect and how the poverty of the world has increased. The new research published by the UN World Institute of Development and Economics is just one that the economic fallout from the global pandemic would increase global poverty by as much as 500 million people, or 8% of the total human population. This would be the first time that poverty has increased globally in 30 years since 1990. More than 700 million people, or 10% of the world population, still alive in extreme poverty, struggling to fulfill the most basic needs like health, education, and access to water and sanitation through name or food. The majority of the people living on less than $1.90 a day live in sub-Saharan Africa. Worldwide, the poverty rate in the rural areas is 17.2%, more than the 3 times higher than in other areas. And why do we talk about other areas? Because with the increasing population, we had yesterday, yesterday I talked, one of the speakers was talking about the population last, and he gave it the 1% or 2% of the earth being shaped by 30% of people. So the population blast is not really India, it's the worldwide. And urbanization is increasing, urbanization is increasing, we are declining in the forest. So everything is so much more related, interrelated, and cyclic. So dear friends, the question was, for those who work in having job does not guarantee a decent living. In fact, 8% of the employed workers in the families worldwide lived in extreme poverty in 2018. And 2018, there was no COVID pandemic. It was before COVID pandemic. So, dear friends, now you can think that what is the situation of COVID pandemic? 1,005 children live in extreme poverty, ensuring the social protection for all children and other vulnerable groups is critical to manage poverty. So, with this, I give a question to all the people, all the scientists, all the educationists, and everyone who are going to be from the 25 countries, that we should look forward to eradicate poverty if we want to see our environment. So, we have Professor Raj with us and we have Professor Raghuram Singh with us. With a lot of respect and gratitude, I would like to call upon Professor Raghuram Singh on the dais for a minute.
Because someone the research. So we don't have it. ISTTP-4 is give us a as my keynote speaker, बुधवार में तो माननीय प्रोफेसर राधा कनाडा प्रोफेसर राधा के सम्मान में जो मैं कुछ कहता था वो कल्पित इसलिए कल्पित नहीं है कि गत दिनांक 12 से 15 अगस्त 2022 को इस महाविद्यालय अंतरराष्ट्रीय कॉन्फ्रेंस आयोजित किया था। उससे पहले ISTTP-1, 2, 3 और 10 वनडे इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में प्रोफेसर राज को मैं केवल चलचित्रों के माध्यम से देखा, लेकिन 12 से 14 अगस्त की हमारे आयोजन में प्रोफेसर राज और भारत मां और वीर भूमि राजस्थान के सिंह द्वारा प्रोफेसर राज जी का हमारे मुलाकात परस्पर दर्शक और मेरा लगभग 3-4 लोग कहा। इसलिए मेरी बात कहता हूं कि प्रोफेसर राज के सम्मान में मैं जो कुछ कह रहा हूं कपोल कल्पित नहीं है, वो प्रैक्टिकल है, यथार्थ। आप सरलता, सहजता, सज्जनता की प्रतिनिधि है। आप 4-5 लोग हमारे साथ हमारे शहर में हमारे कार्यक्रम में रहे, आपके व्यवहार से, आचरण से हमें बिल्कुल भी ये एहसास नहीं होने दिया कि आप कनाडा जैसे देश से पधारे थे। जैसा भी हमसे आतिथ्य बना, आप उसी में हमारे साथ राजपथ और यदि किसी जमानत क्योंकि विद्वान का जो लक्षण है शास्त्र में वो यही है कि वो सरलतम, सहजतम और सज्जनता से बहुत विनम्रता ही विद्वान का। मैं इस बात से उन्हें प्रोफेसर राजस्थान महाविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से, राजस्थान और भारत की ओर से हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ, अभिनंदन करता हूँ, इस उम्मीद के साथ कि 25 देशों की 100,000 डेलीगेट्स ऑनलाइन और ऑफलाइन से जुड़े समस्त सुविधा आपको शांति के साथ सुनेंगे और आपके बहुमूल्य विचारों से पर्यावरण जैसी भयावह समस्या पर अपने विचारों से दुनिया के तमाम लोगों को जागृत करेंगे, सावधान करेंगे, प्रोत्साहित करेंगे। प्रोफेसर राज का हार्दिक अभिनंदन, हार्दिक स्वागत करते हैं। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. And now with lots of gratitude and respect and affection, I would like to call upon Professor Raj Nandaware. He's an associate professor in the Department of Human Health and Science, Faculty of Nursing at Sacramento University of Alberta. He teaches human anatomy and physiology to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing and Psychiatric Nursing students. He's a researcher. He's involved in several scholarships of teaching and learning projects that focus on the efficacies of modern cutting-edge teaching technologies to promote knowledge. In addition, he's also involved in assessing the anatomical and physiological knowledge position in the first year of nursing and its transfer and application to future nursing courses as clinical and developing robust interventional strategy to build your knowledge level with coding and clinical. And that sounds really interesting. So the stage is all yours. After Swagat, after Abhinandan, please go ahead with your elaboration. Stage is all yours. Please elaborate yourself. Please, Professor Raj.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma and Professor Dr. Hukam Singh ji. Let me share my screen first, open up my presentation, and then I can talk. So, okay. So there has been some messages popping on my computer, Dr. Sharma.
Yes.
There's a lot of messages coming on my computer screen. Yeah, so there's a lot of people trying to log in, and those messages are. So, okay. So where do I? Okay. Are you able to see my presentation? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We can see that. We can see your face. You can start the presentation.
Okay. Are you able to see my presentation, Dr. Sharma?
We can see.
Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, because you can see your presentation. You can start presenting. But we are not able to see the text. We are not able to see the text. We can see your screen text, but we can't see the text.
I'm trying to get my presentations on the screen. Not this one. It was very easy last time, but I'm having tough time to see my presentation.
Please take your time. Yeah, visible.
Are you able to see my presentation?
Yes, yes. She can
Okay,
do that in English.
okay,
Yes,
wonderful.
she is in English. Yeah.
Okay, so
Perfect.
there's a constant noise coming from the other side, so I'm not able to hear properly. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So here we go. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Sharma and Dr. Professor Hukam Singh for flattering introductions. It is my honor and a pleasure to be a part of this exciting ISTTP-4. So, प्रोफेसर हुकम सिंह जी, नमस्ते सर, और उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप स्वस्थ और अच्छे होंगे, और आप और आपके फैकल्टी मेंबर्स को पर्सनली मिलने का जो मुझे सुहावना अवसर मिला, उसके लिए मैं आपका बहुत बहुत आभारी हूं. नमस्ते सर. Also, what is also, there's a lot of disturbance when I talk, so I'm not sure if you are able to hear me.
Yes,
Also,
sir.
this is the first time.
We are able to hear you. We can see your presentation. We can see you as well. But I don't know why your slides are not moving. Are you moving your slides?
Right.
Yeah, now it's moving. Now it's moving. Fine. Go ahead, please.
Is it? Are you able to hear me properly?
Yes, we are able to hear you properly.
Okay, but there's a lot of disturbance from your side, which is interfering with my talking.
कौन सी आवाज आती है हमारे तरफ से? मेरा mic off. He's saying this
Especially,
word.
yeah, especially when I talk, there's a lot of disturbance. Okay, now it looks pretty good. Okay. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Sharma and Dr. Professor Hukum Singh ji. This is the first time. What I'm excited about is that you have actually invited the students. So, so it is good to see all the students out there. And thank you, Dr. Sharma and Professor Hukam Singh, to consider the student the part of this initiative, because these students are our future scientists, businessmen, professors, doctors, specialists, and also the future policymakers. So it is very noble initiative, Dr. Sharma, you have initiated to include the students so that they are the future policymaker and also the one who's going to tackle the climate change. So I am so excited and very happy to have the student in this first time in this symposium. So I personally wanted to thank you, Dr. Professor Singhji and Dr. Sharma, because this is not my first time I have been on this platform, right? So, and I had a huge honor, and I'm incredibly indebted to Dr. Professor Sharma as well as the Hukam Singh to have me in Alwar personally and meet everyone. So I am incredibly indebted to all of you for your hospitality, generosity, and also a very good friendship. I made a friends forever in my life. That was the best and memorable visit I ever had while I was in India and also in Alwar. So thank you so much, and hello everyone. Good morning to you all. Before I speak about my presentation this morning, unfortunately, I am not a climate change person. I am actually a physiologist and the neurologist or neuroscientist. But for last few years, since I took up this teaching position, I have switched my research into the teaching and the learning, right? So last 5 years, I am focusing on like the use of the latest and the cutting edge teaching technology in my teaching. I also have started evaluating the number of the active and also active learning strategies to my students, right? And at the same time, I'm also working in the, once you teach the student, I also wanted to know how much knowledge of our courses our student carry forward in the degree program or in the subsequent years of their actually program. So unfortunately, I'm not into much of the climate change research, but everyone out there, even though we are from the very diverse background, botany, zoology, chemistry, biochemistry, environmental science, but one thing as a teaching faculty we all have, including Professor Dr. Hukam Singh ji, is that we are involved in the teaching, and the teaching is such a satisfying and the gratifying professions on the planet, and everyone who are able to basically make a difference to your students, I think you are very, very fortunate that you actually have a direct impact of your teaching, of your knowledge on your student. So this is what I'm going to talk in the next few minutes, right? So today I am going to talk about my research on the teaching and the learning, and what I'm going to do is to first 20 minutes I'm going to talk about the what are the factors that actually impact our teaching as a professor, and then I wanted to look at the what are the best strategy that we can introduce teaching that can significantly increase the academic performance of our student. And then last part of my presentation will be that what are the some of those strategies that actually help me to improve my students learning and also their academic performance as well as the knowledge, right? So we know down to the heart we are actually effective profession. And as you all know, the teaching is art. And as a teaching faculty or a professor, we are performance. We all want all our students to do learn the knowledge of our subject. We all want them to have a good grades while we teach them. We also wanted to make sure that the knowledge we introduce to a student, they should be able to carry forward that knowledge into their degree program, right? And at the same time, we also want them to be active learner, they also be critical thinker, and they also be knowledgeable of our courses in their degree program. So if you are botany students or zoology student, you should be able to recall and remember the knowledge of the botany or the zoology when you're working as a professor or the botany researcher or as a scientist. So it is very, very important. Now, everyone and my dear friends out there, the teaching has evolved. Gone are those days where we used to walk with our notebooks or textbook and read from the textbook, write down everything on the whiteboard, and then students will do exam, they get a good mark, and will say goodbye. Now the students are very, very demanding. They want us to engage them in the classroom discussion. They want us to be more interactive with them. They want us to be find the various ways to basically introduce the knowledge of our courses to them, while allowing them to develop the critical thinking, also being an independent thinker, as well as develop the social and the communication skills, right? And so the modern curriculum demand that the approach that we introduce to your students should be what we call the student centered, content driven, and evidence based. That's mean if you try a particular teaching strategy in your class, and if that strategy improve the academic performance and the knowledge of your student, that is called the evidence-based teaching. And this is the demand is now. As a professor, my student asked me, hey Raj, can you make us like interactive? I have to involve personally to make them active learner. And this is where, right? So nowadays, the modern curriculum and this curriculum should be applied across the globe. So even if you are teaching in your college, in your university as a professor, your teaching strategy should be blended. That means you bring the various strategy that will help to not only understand your knowledge of your classes, but also improve their academic performance, but make students the active learner while they carry the knowledge of your courses rest of their life. And this is how, your student, why they also, you have to make sure that, you develop, your student develop the communication skill, the social skill, while teaching make it actually, kind of formal and more interactive and enjoyable, right? So as I mentioned earlier, in this talk for next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about the what are the factors that impact the teaching. Then I'm going to evaluate what are the strategy you can introduce in your class. And then I'm going to share some of those strategy I have incorporated in my teaching have been effective in terms of improving the academic performance as well as the knowledge of my courses to my student, right? So everyone, I am an associate professor and I teach the human body, that is human anatomy, and how the body functions, that's the physiology to the nursing students and the psychiatric nursing student. I also used to teach the medical students, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and the dental, but for last 3 years, because I started teaching research, I focus only on the nursing students and the psychiatric nursing student, right? So now, talking about the factors, we know there are number of the factors that can impact the way we teach, our courses to a student. Right now, this is where it get complicated because there is just not one factor that actually impact our teaching. I will tell you simplest factor that can impact your teaching and the learning of your course is the class time. We will talk about that in a minute, right? So what I did, there's a huge list of the impacting factor, and it is out of my scope to introduce all of them. So here are some of those impacting factor that I have divided into the student-related factors and the faculty-related factors. So, for example, the student related factors are very important, right? So the understanding of your course depend upon if your student have a good background in your biology or in a grade 12 or Barbie class, right? Number two, the class time, it matters. I will actually show you a slide here. If you look, when I had a one class at 8 o'clock and other class at 11 o'clock, the student who took the class at 11 o'clock actually have 4 to 6% average, extra average or, more average compared to the student taking class early in the morning. So time of the class, time of your class also actually, affect too. The attendance, the type of the textbook they use, whether they use the textbook or they go on the internet or they actually use notes from the professor. English as a second language. I know I grew up in India, right? And I know we always struggle, with the English because we don't go, everyone don't go to the English medium school, at least, in the 60s, 80s and 90s, right? So that also affect too. Their understanding or the background in the science also greatly affected. Additional factor, their confidence in their knowledge is one of the important factor. On the other hand, the prioritization, how they prioritize their study, what study skill they use, whether they use the textbook, whether they more time for a certain subject or the time they dedicated to it, right? Also self-efficacy, how they manage their time, how they organize their study skill, and how they organize their semester, also important for the student success. Okay? On the other hand, as a professor and as an educator, the number of the factors can also impact the way we teach our student. For example, it depends upon how you organize the course, whether you deliver the course as a PowerPoint presentation, or you just walk in the classroom and start writing on the whiteboard, that also impacts your method of the delivery, whether you just go in the classroom and teach them, or whether you interact with the student and make a more active learning type of the atmosphere. It also impacts the teaching and the learning of your courses too. Number three, the time, the amount of the time available for you to deliver your courses also impact. In North America, in Canada, I have only 45 hours to finish or teach 750-page textbook. So you can imagine, within the 45 hours, I have to complete the course within the 13 weeks of the semester. So there's a tremendous pressure, and that could also impact the teaching and the learning of my courses, to my students, right? Also, your teaching can also impact the type of the teaching style you use, whether you engage the student in the classroom, whether you actually disseminate your knowledge through the PowerPoint presentations or interactions, or how you engage the student in the classroom also impact the your teaching and the learning. And of course, your own knowledge of your subject. I don't doubt that you are not having inadequate knowledge. We all adequate, in the knowledge, but it also depends how you actually pass effectively and successfully of your knowledge to your student, right? So those are the some of the factors can also impact the teaching and the learning of your courses, everyone. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is, so how do you assess the understanding and the knowledge of your courses for your students, right? So next few minutes, everyone, I am going to share some of those strategies that I have used, to evaluate the understanding of my students of my anatomy and the physiology courses. So, for example, um, in North America and also in the Europe, many educational institutions, what they do, they actually use the various online platform. So at my institution, we use the Moodle. Some of the institutes use the Blackboard. So as you know, as a faculty, those are the online platform, and that this platform can be purchased by your university. Okay. And those platforms are the way that you communicate with your students. Okay. This is where, either you use the Moodle or the Blackboard, this is where I upload all my course material. Okay. And this is where I actually send the announcement to my student. This is where student actually ask me the questions. So it is a great platform, not only to communicate with the student, but share your course material with the student. So as you can see, I have my chapter folder, I have my grades, I have my actually the student resources, and we also have the announcement. So this is one. Number two, before I actually start my classes, I also upload what we actually call the syllabus. In India, you call syllabus, we call course outline. So course outline basically gives the idea to the student what they're going to learn, what are their learning objective for the course they actually taking with you. So those I upload in advance, and student read through, they understand their objective, they understand what you call the learning outcome, and also how their course is designed. Okay. Number three, I also upload my class schedule in a very, very advance. So if my class is starting 10 days after, I put my class schedule 1 week before. And the class schedule basically help them to basically organize their study, right? So there are subject like anatomy. It is a content driven course, and and I only have 45 hours to complete that course, right? So it is very important to have a clear communications about what chapters you're going to teach in next 13 weeks, right? I also post my exams date. So my student prepare those chapter very, very advanced, right? And that's one of the success of their academic performance, that there's a clear communication between you and your students, right? Also, number three, also I prepare a very powerful and the effective PowerPoint presentation. As you can see, my PowerPoint presentations are very, very brief. I only put the points with the bullets, right? And when I go in a class, I explain every single bullet or every point to my students. I also put lots of images or the diagrams or the pictures of my courses, right? I also introduce YouTube video. So for example, if I'm teaching the nervous system, I introduce a couple of videos that actually talk about what is the nervous system, how it is organized, and what are the functions, right? So it actually improve or increase their curiosity to learn, and that's why they look forward to your class. Okay, that's another strategy. Number four, before I go to my class, 2 3 days before, I give them lots of take away home questions. So I develop few questions out of my chapter and I post it on my Moodle, on my online platform. And that way, before the students coming into my class, they already know so much information about or knowledge about that my chapter on the nervous system, because I give them questions and they start reading and find the answers. And when they come in a classroom, when I ask the question, they just raise their hand like anything. You see, so those are some of the strategy you could introduce in your classes, everyone. Okay. On the other hand, I also, take out some sample questions out of the chapter that I'm going to teach in a week time or in a couple of days time. So those are the sample questions, and those sample questions are great because number one, they read the chapter over and over before coming to the class. Number two, and they try to find the answers on their own, which is called the active learning. That means I am making my student as an active learner, you see. And this is another great idea you could introduce to your classes, everyone. Okay, right now. So this happened before the class, but when they come in my class and when I'm teaching the chapter on the nervous system, I also divide my class into the many groups. Okay, and then each group get the matching questions, and those matching questions, then the group of the student, they talk about it. Two advantage: when they talk to each other, they share the knowledge. They also improve their communications and the social skills. So they, if someone is, poor in English, they will learn from the other students in the group. You see, so this is
Hello everyone, I think there's some connectivity problem with Mr. Raj and so I will request everyone to please hang here with us. He will be joining us.
okay.
So,
All right, I am back. Are you able to hear me, everyone?
yes, very well, very well.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so sorry for the interruptions. Oh, there's some noise, Dr. Sharma.
Uh,
Maybe mute the microphone.
सारे माइक्रोफोन म्यूट कर दो कहीं से नॉइज आ रही है
Yeah.
सारे माइक्रोफोन
Okay. Wonderful. So, everyone, sorry for the interruptions. So, when I am teaching my class, I do not teach all the 80 minutes. What I do, I teach 40 minutes and I give them a break for 5 minutes, right? Giving the break, it actually helps them because they actually get to kind of, rejuvenate and also take a bathroom break. And the research has shown that even 2 to 3 minute break help them to become energetic. They also have the break and then they actually start listening to your lecture. Okay, so that's one of the things I do. Another thing I do is also I actually use a lot of humor in my classes, right? Because human. I am so sorry. The connection has been losing. Sorry. Okay. All right. So what happened? I quite often in my classes introduce the lot of humors. Again, there's a disturbance from your side. I'm not able to talk properly. Okay, this is wonderful. Thank you. All right. So there's someone who is actually talking. So somebody's microphone is not muted. Okay. Now this looks okay. 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 So throughout my classes, I use a lot of humor. So for example, when I talk about the skiing, I also talk about like when I go to India and when I exposed to the hot weather, I turn charcoal, and then students talk about the skin and then how the skin become darker when you expose to your actually the sunlight, right? So that's one of the things I do. Now, up till now, there is a echo again in my voice. Not sure. Okay. There's an echo when I talk. Can you hear me okay now? Dr. Sharma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. So everyone now I have introduced the various teaching strategy and I want to know whether those strategy basically help them to improve their understanding of my courses, right? So after teaching a particular chapter, then I assess the knowledge of that particular chapter by number of the way. Number one, I actually introduce what you actually call the online gaming platform called Kahoot. You can actually use this platform in your classes to actually assess the immediate knowledge of your student. So you can develop multiple choice questions like this one on your chapter and then deliver these questions through the Kahoot to your students. And that actually helps the student to recall the knowledge. Okay. Number two, also at the end of the every chapter, I also make up a small quiz. that include the multiple choice questions, fill in the blank, true and false, those kind of the questions, right? And so these quizzes also help them to prepare the chapter thoroughly, right? Now, another strategy I do is that when I teach my particular chapter, I want to know how did I do, how whether I was an effective professor or not. So I develop the questions and ask the student to evaluate my teaching, right? And this is the great practice, because student will tell you whether you did a good job or you actually lacked some informations, or there was no clarity on certain topics. So it is called the class evaluation, right? And I am open to the all the I am open to the criticism by my student. If they ask, Dr. Raj, you were just not, very clear on the certain topic, I take it as a positive. And then in the next class, I try to improve myself, right? So those are the some of the strategy, right? Now, what I did, everyone, for last 20 minutes, I talk about the number of the teaching modalities or the strategy that I incorporated in my teaching. Okay. Now, I want to know if those teaching strategy were effective in terms of improving the knowledge and the understanding, as well as the academic performance of my student. Those are the some of the strategy I actually use. So now next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about the 3 to 4, what you actually call the effective teaching strategy that actually I incorporate in my class. Okay. So at the at the Department of Nursing, or the department of my department, we are very fortunate to actually use the cutting edge, latest and the modern teaching technology called three-dimensional virtual human cadaver. So this virtual human cadaver is basically the actual images are taken from the human cadaver and transformed into the color 3D images of the body, that you can increase or decrease the size of the body. You can pull out the heart, you can touch on the heart, and you can see the pumping of the heart. You can also, you can also do, I'll just do this one here. Um, just want to show you something here. Yeah. You can also literally, and you can also see that, oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. You can also show the various organ by cutting through their sections. Okay. Also, one of the thing I also do that when I use this table, I actually gather my student around me, and that actually help us to, oh, let me see where that go. Okay. Sorry, here we go. Okay. So this is where, like, so did you see, this is the table that I'm using for talking about the anatomy, and these are my students, right? So this is the great practice, because by doing this one, you actually interact with the student more efficiently, and also this allow them to develop the social and the communication skill, right? Now, I want to know if the use of the modern teaching technology improve their understanding. So here we go. Now, the data on the use of the technology clearly indicated that the student actually have a significantly increased class average in all the 3 midterms and the final exam when you use the table or virtual human cadaver table compared to the student that were taught without the table. Use of the table or the virtual human cadaver also resulted in a significant increase of their GPA or grade point average. Okay, so the advantage of using technology is that it provides them a true perception of the human body. It also provides them a social hub while allowing them to improve the social and the communication skill. Okay, and it also allow them to remember or retain the knowledge of that particular chapter I taught by using the table. Okay, second, so now the second strategy I have used in my classes is the use of the textbook images, right? Because the human anatomy consists of many body images, right? And so I want to know if using the body images improve their understanding and the knowledge. Also, research has shown that the increased visualization, so using the body images can improve the visualization. Also, it also reduces their anxiety related to the exam and also the stress, right? The moment they see the particular body image in their exam, they start recalling the knowledge of that particular tissue or the image from the exam. So it really improve their actually knowledge. Number two, looking at the image, it also provide them a hint to the answers, you see, and they also help to develop the confidence in the learning. So those are right. Now I want to show you some data. So using more images in their anatomy exam significantly increase their class average compared to the exam having less images. Okay, you also see that any questions I ask them in the exam that is based on the image, the the percent score of that question is much more higher compared to the same questions without image. So that's mean use of the images actually help them to retain the knowledge, recall the knowledge, provide the hint to the answers, and improve their understanding and also the confidence in the learning, right? So if you are botany or the zoology, or the biochemistry or botany or zoology professor, use lots of images in your exam because images help them to actually recall the knowledge, provide the hint to an answer, and improve their confidence. Okay, so last thing I want to show is that introducing the various online and the in-class activities such as, so what I actually do when my students are out of the class, I actually direct them to the various online activities. I provide them practice questions. I provide them lots of muscle assignments. I put a lot of practice questions for them. When they are in my class, and as I mentioned earlier, I engage them in the classroom. I give them the Kahoot. I use the in-class quizzes. I also have the in-class discussions and also the student active participation, right? So we want to know if using the online and in-class activity, whether it improves their knowledge or not. Here is the where are the results, right? So exposure of the anatomy and the physiology student to the various online and in-class activity resulted in a significant increase in the class average in all three midterms and the final exam. This also has resulted in a significant increase in their actually GPA, right? So guys, using the various online and in-class activity can significantly improve the knowledge and the academic performance of your students, right? And also, not only it allows to improve their understanding and the knowledge and the academic performance, It also helps them to gain the communication and the social skill, promote the active learning, and develop the critical thinking, right? And at the same time, those practices also help them to retain the knowledge of your courses for a long, long time. Okay, so those are the some of the important. Sorry, everyone. I'm just having so much difficult time with this presentation because of the audio video activities. Anyway, I'm just toward the end of my presentation, so I will be really quick. Okay. Now, repeating the knowledge of the particular chapter over and over, we call content reinforcement, right? So that's been the repeated knowledge testing of your chapters for your student can significantly improve their class average and the understanding. For example, repeated knowledge of the vascular, the blood, and the immune system for 8 weeks actually resulted in a significant increase in their class average and also the knowledge retention in my students, right? So the takeaway message is that the repeated testing of the knowledge of your courses can significantly improve the understanding, knowledge, and the academic performance of your student, right? So everyone, I'm just about to finish, but the takeaway message for you all from this presentation is that I want you to think about what are the strategy you are currently using in your teaching and whether they are working or not, right? So identify where are the potential gap in your teaching and then try and develop the what you call the interventional strategy to basically perform your effective teaching that will help not only to retain the knowledge of your courses but improve the academic performance of your students, right? So in the conclusion, the blended learning, multimodal learning that will actually foster the student engagement while allowing them to develop the communications and the social skill is the one of the teaching strategy I want all of you out there to think about when you actually starting your new course next semester or next year. So with this one, I apologize for the disturbance in the presentations. For some reason, there was a lot of technical difficulties. I still hear the echo in my ears. So I apologize for the inconvenience, but thank you so much for your time and attendance and also your kind attention to my this presentation. And if you have any questions, please get in touch with me and I can help you to introduce some of those effective teaching strategy in your classes or in your courses, right? So with this one, thank you again and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, and also some of those people that I actually acknowledged in my last slide. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Val. It was an amazing demonstration. We did add some technical problems because we are so far from us, but everything went on very well. And let me tell you that we are very happy and proud to have you with us. And both of them specifically came to teach you and talk about you. And he left his office and he said that he is Professor Raj is speaking and definitely want to come. So a lot of thanks to you from him as well and from all of us. And definitely we will be hosting another online conference soon. And I'm sure that we will that as well.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharma. And bye, everyone. Students, bye now. Take care.
I was very late there. Have a good night and take care.
Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
So now we have another speaker. His name is Dr. Surinder Shukla. Just check on his on line. Dr. Surinder Shukla. I think we need to check his performance. Yeah. Sir, आप join करिए. It's your time to do your speech. Hello. Hello. Sir, please join करिए. It's your time. सर मैंने भेजा आपकी WhatsApp पे देखे. सर WhatsApp पे भेजा हुआ है आपको तो रात को कीजिए. Is it? Let me check. There's a mistake. Just hold. Dr. Surinder Shukla is working as Associate Professor in Zoology at Mira Girls College. Dr. Shukla has done his PhD in zoology. He has membership of many professional bodies like the International Farmers Society, the Scholars Society, and academic. He's a member of the International Society of Environmental Sciences. He's a member and so many other memberships he has. He has many awards and credits and groups like the International Trade Research Organization, Travel Fellowship, National Trade Research Organization, National Trade Research Center, Commission, Department of Biotechnology, National Trade Research Center, 2001. So he has got many awards and recognitions also. His area of research is neuroscience, neuroprotection, herbal drugs, immunopharmacology, and environmental sciences. He has completed many research projects, and many research projects are ongoing right now. And he has nearly 26 research papers as his credit. So without gratitude, I welcome Dr. Sridhar. Let's just check out with Dr. Sridhar online. Just check this joint. You can have the recap. I just let's wait for Magic sir. You are ready, sir? अच्छा आप नीलांश शुक्ला के नाम से सुनील शुक्ला के नाम से सुन रहे हैं आप अच्छा नीला इनको पोस्ट बनाइए पोस्ट बनाइए और यही है So with love and gratitude, respect, and tolerate and with doctors, people who class with us. Please make your Sir, we have made the co-host. Now you can unmute yourself. ये सामने दिख रहा है लांच हुआ तो हमारी सब या co-host बनाइए
Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Mamta ji.
Sir, आपका स्वागत है आपका अभिनंदन मैंने ऑलरेडी आपके बारे में व्यूअर्स को बता दिया we have around 270 people online from different countries and we welcome you very much with us. Thank you so much, sir. Please you can start with the introduction.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. In fact, it is good afternoon, not good morning. In fact, when my was it was scheduled by 12 noon. So, bit late. I'm a bit late. I was busy somewhere. So, as Mamta ji told me, it is something related with the environment and a kind of course which is 10 days course, and it's an international course. So basically, I'll be talking about something which you might have heard or you might have not heard. I don't know how many people you know about that thing. I'll be talking about the light pollution, something which is very unique or very different. And in fact, in India or all over the world, very less work is done in terms of research and other things. So straight away, I'm sharing my presentation with you. Is it visible to all?
I can
Is it visible to all? Please, anyone respond. Anybody respond? Is it visible to you? Okay,
Yes,
fine.
but I can see you.
I'll be talking about the, as I told you, I'll be talking about the light pollution. Nowadays, we face or we feel some of the things which are not seen to us. Like I'll tell you, okay, specifically in the night when I was very small, I was a kid, I used to stare at stars and other things, but nowadays these are not available. हेलो जी काफी के माइक ऑन है प्लीज बंद कर लीजिए
Sir, yes, we can hear you, sir.
ना you people can hear me but there is lot of noise and disturbance
Okay, please mute all.
yeah thank you
Now,
Mamta ji
sir, is it okay now?
okay I'll carry so I'll be talking about light pollution which is something very new in the field of environment science and ecology. As Mamta ji told me, there are people from each and every kind of faculty and various disciplines. So, what I'm missing nowadays, that is the stars. And that's why I got interest in this particular area. I started my research in this area. One of my student is pursuing this thing, light pollution. So I call it loss of night because night is something where you can see the stars, you can see the darkness, you can see the moon, full moon or half moon or something. But nowadays we can't see all these kind of things because we have a hell lot of lights on our earth or on our planet. So something it is loss of night, I say. So something which is what does I mean to say ki what is pollution? What is because ki before going into the details of the light pollution, I would like to talk about the pollution. What is pollution? Something which is beyond the normal ranges. Because in this era we have set ranges for each and everything, and something which is beyond the range or something which disturbs the normal conditions, that is pollution. Or in small sense or in a very layman language, you can say any kind of contamination of air, water and soil can be pollution. It can, and obviously it has to be harmful. Until unless it is not harmful, it is not called as pollution. And the agents which are causing this, they are called as pollutants. So there are several kind of pollutants in we might have heard about air pollution, water pollution, everything. So I'm not going into the details of these things, but straight away to light pollution. Here it is a picture, you can see kind of lights on the in the city. So it is also known as photo pollution. Basically, it is dealing with the light. So photo pollution. Why photo pollution? Because we say light is something which travels in the photons, a packet of energy, which is also called as quanta. So this is thing. And another thing, it is something which is related with the night only, because all other kind of pollutions we see, they are omnipresent, they are present for 24 hours. They are pollutants are polluting the rivers for 24 hours, but this is something which is related with the night, from dusk to dawn. This kind of thing is there. So this is something which is caused by the excessive or misdirected kind of lights, or the kind of lights, or the kind of lights, especially I say the kind of lights like CFL or LED or sodium lamp. There are several arguments regarding all these things. So these kind of things. And basically, initially, this thing was a concern of astronomical research. Initially, when the concept was started, it was concern of astronomical research, because the people used to see towards sky with the help of telescope, and later on people find out it is also affecting the earth. So other people from the environmental science or life science or from the geography, they started research in this area, and they found it again have a kind of consequences as other pollutants are having. Uh, a simple question to all of you: how many times we can see the stars nowadays, or the areas where we can see the stars nowadays? First picture is something which is the necklace of the Bombay, that is how or you can see the stars or not see the stars. Another is from a suburban area, and third is from the rural area. You can clear cut see the kind of light and the kind of sky here. So small city, moderate city, every kind of city is facing these kind of things, even this thing. And few questions I have, because I'm discussing all the kind of things, but we'll have few questions kind of thing. Why should we care about the light pollution? Because we are least concerned about the light things. We are concerned, yes, but we are not concerned about the light pollution. We are concerned about the protection or the energy conservation, but we are not concerned with the light pollution. How we can minimize this thing? Because light nowadays, light is a necessity, but how we can minimize this thing? How we can measure it? Because there are several other methods in for other pollutants, like for air pollution we have samplers, we have different biochemical methods, we have chemical methods. For water pollution we have different parameters, direct or indirect kind of parameters we have. But for the light pollution, we don't have these kind of things. But how to measure this thing, how it is affecting our environment, how it is affecting the human health also? Because how the light is affecting us, what kind of things we are facing because we got so habituated to this thing, we don't realize the kind of effect we are having of light pollution or excessive light. So what I'll be discussing over here, this is the type of light pollutions. It is in very brief. They are of 6 types. I'll talk in very brief. Similarity between light pollution and other kind of pollutions, what kind of things or what kind of consequences light pollution and other pollutions are having. Light pollution in India and specifically in Rajasthan, since I am from the Rajasthan, and so I'll talk about this effect of light pollution on flora and fauna, and ultimately what we can do, because every pollution needs an attention. So what we can do, and they are very simple inexpensive methods by which we can reduce the light pollution. So straightforward to the kind of light pollution. Among them, first is called as glare. So too much of background loud is called as glare. And now most of the time when you drive, when you ride, you find this kind of things. So glare you see on roads, in stadiums, in large buildings, or on monuments, you see this kind of thing. This is an example, a photograph of glare, how we can identify the glare. Another is thing which is called as light trespass. Light trespass is something which is the light is unwantedly light is entering into your house or home or way or your doorway. So it is unwantedly entering, and that's why your street light can enter into your rooms, bedroom, especially through your window or in your study room or somewhere else. So that is called as light trespass, where when or where we don't require, and when the light is there, that is called as light trespass. Sky glow is something, the scattering of light in the sky, because whenever the light is blown or it's switched on, it scatters and it reacts with the particles in the atmosphere and it scatters. So it is something which is called as sky glow. Sky glow can be observed from height for a city or for a particular area. So sky glow is there. Even from the ground, you can observe this sky glow. Another is over illumination. We face these kind of things nowadays, and specifically in India, we face parking lots, stadiums, and other things. There, the illumination is less number of lights are required, but we put hell lot of lights to that particular area, and all the intensity of light is too high, then it is a kind of over illumination. So these kind of things are there. And another thing is light clutter. In these pictures, if you see in the first picture, you can see there is a man who is visible. If I say this is a boy which is visible in the presence of light, but as soon as it shifts its position, moves towards this area or near the pole, you cannot see him. So specifically, I put this green rectangle over there to make him visualize. So this kind of thing, excessive grouping of lights is there, so you cannot see a person or a thing. So this is something like clutter is there. So these are the 6 kind of light pollution types. How it looks, how we look light pollution. This is a image of Earth from the satellite. There are different kind of satellites. This is the image of Earth. It is of satellite. Obviously, this picture is of 2000. If you see the total area of the world and you see the illumination in the world, and now one thing which I would like to say, because the light or the energy sometimes it is considered or it is attached with the development index. If you see the world picture, you will find the areas which are developed or underdeveloped or developing. They will have, the developed areas are having much more light, whereas underdeveloped countries are not having much light. Like if you see India or if you compare India with the others, India, even in this, you can clearly demarcate India and the Pakistan, where the or other areas where the light is less. You can see the Africa where the population is less, where the development is not there. Even in South America, you can find Alaska. See the Alaska, it's totally dark. It is having a clear sky. But when you see the Canada and US and Mexico and other things, even in Europe, if you see, you can clearly see. So nowadays, the lights are associated with the development index. One good thing with this, that the people are continuously working on this and they're trying to reduce the amount of light or excessive light in this area. In 2013, the Hong Kong was considered as the most light polluted place in the planet, on the planet. Hong Kong was having too much of light. Still, it is the most light polluted place on the planet. Secondly, Singapore is again considered as most light polluted country in the world, and the same things are happening nowadays with Indian metros like Bombay or the Delhi or the Calcutta. We'll see later on. They are having too much of light. This is the scene of. If you see, I have compared two years, particularly 2012 and 2016. In fact, on very short notice, I am giving this presentation, so I cannot update it. I was not able to update it, but still, you can find out the difference. If you look at Delhi, if I say this is the Delhi or the area NCR region, here, if you see this is the NCR region, you can see the difference. What kind of difference we are having in 4 years? If you look at this is something Jaipur or the area, you can find out the differences. Similarly, if you see Ahmedabad, Bombay, or Hyderabad or Bangalore, you can clear cut demarcate the differences in the intensity of the light, or indirectly, I can say these are the indicators of the light pollution. This is something which I have taken from one particular site, which is called as light pollution map. You can see here they have the light pollution. As I told you, there are methods of measuring the light pollution. There is something which is called as radiance, and radiance data can be taken or can be adopted from the this radiance data or radiance can be measured from the sky or from the satellite. There are images available for the earth and they have the radiance data, and this radiance data from the it is measured in watt centimeter square. So wherever you will find the red or something that is more polluted, then you will find wherever you are finding the black or green or blue, they are less polluted. So from this image you can find out the Indian scenario where it is, as the previous one was there. This is the scene of Rajasthan where I work or where I'm doing or I'm pursuing my research for this thing. If you look at the areas which are in vicinity of Delhi NCR, if you see this is the Delhi, and Delhi is totally red. And if you look at the Alwar, which is in vicinity of Delhi or it's a part of Delhi NCR, you can see the radiance is around 3 to 6. But if you look at other places, Jaipur is again red. And if you look at Udaipur, where I'm located, it is comparatively, I'm very happy, it is comparatively less light polluted. Other areas, other towns of this state are like Jodhpur, Kota, and rest of the areas. In fact, I can say, sorry, The Rajasthan is comparatively less polluted, but with urbanization nowadays, or with the advancement, or with the development, this particular scene is changing, and we are going towards yellow or orange part. That's what I have observed in my research nowadays. I specifically, I'm doing it for the Rajasthan, southern Rajasthan. I'm finding the area or the intensity or the radiance value is increasing day by day. Here, these are the satellites, and with the if you see here, there is various data, available data from 2013 to 2017. Nowadays, it is available up to 2021. You can find out these kind of data. This is the area where I'm working. It is a scene of Udaipur. That's what I told. This is something which is the town where we have the or the city urbanization part of this, and these are the outskirts of the Udaipur. So we can feel the differences. One another thing which I can tell you, you can see some of the lines which are illuminated as yellow here. Basically, these are the highways, and we have a continuous flow of the vehicles, or they are illuminated because by the government or with the poles or something. But in most of the cases, they are like a continuous flow of vehicles, and these are the NH. And you can find on these highways, you will find the lights continuously on. So again, they are the captured by the satellite for this thing. The other areas where you will not find, like in Jaisalmer, if you see, there are other roads which are not visible. But the roads which are very busy, they will appear. Even if you see Jaipur to Ajmer, you will see certain kind of orange lights which are indicator of comparatively different kind of pollution. Same way here, you can see. Uh, Again, one thing is there, ki this particular thing, light pollution or the light affects the air quality also, because we always say ki air pollution is because of vehicles or the industrial emissions or something. But with this thing, light is also affecting, because most of the time we say these are the causes of the air pollution, but there are certain things which there are certain chemical reactions which affects the air quality, and which those kind of reactions which are caused by the light are called as photochemical reactions, and those photochemical reactions make the things more worse. You might have heard, or nowadays, or in the coming days, we will hear about the smoke and the parali and the other things for the Delhi. One of the major thing which is affecting this is the kind of light they have, because the light is creating some kind of photochemical reactions, and they make the things more worse. So chemicals from vehicle exhaust or other things, they form, especially the nitrogen oxides are converted into the nitrate radicals, and that nitrate radicals create kind of problem to the humans also, because these kind of radicals are called as free radicals, and these free radicals initiate chain of reactions in the air, even in our body. So these are very harmful. These makes kind of things. A kind of study was done in San Francisco for this nitrate radicals, and normal light time reduction also. They reduce the normal light time, atmospheric smoke production they do, and that's why I told you the same kind of thing will be observed in the Delhi in the coming time. So this thing. Commonly, what kind of harmful things we observe with the pollutants, or what kind of effects we observe with the pollutants? We observe the change in behavior, growth, reproduction, survival, death, habitat modification, pollution, environmental effect, all these kind of things. These I will be discussing later on. This is the kind of comparison what we have in between chemical and light pollution. There are the kind of things to human exposure, whether it affects, yes, even the light pollution affects both in urban and industrial settings. I tell you, there are certain kind of studies which describes that the light pollution can cause cancer also. There are certain kind of studies which are related with the occupation, and where the uh, employees are working in the illuminated condition, and in that survey or a kind of epidemiological study was carried out. it was found that the people, those who are working in the illuminated environment, they may have the cancer. I guess, as far as I remember, it is in Sweden. There was a survey on the nurses, those who were working in the hospitals, and they were working in the all the time they are working, or they were working in the night shift more so. So they developed the breast cancer as compared to the nurses, those who are working in the day shift. So these kind of effects it can cause. It affects the wildlife. Nowadays, we see different kind of incidents, the encounters of wildlife animals with the humans, and it is probably because of light, because they got attracted. Initially, they got attracted. Later on, they don't like it and they go back to their thing. But initially, they attract towards the light. So, wildlife exposure. Abnormal behavior is shown by the animals and the human being also. Growth is again affected. In some cases, the growth is increased, or in some cases, the growth is retarded. Reproductive health or reproduction is also affected, both in animals, plants, and human. Survival are there, directly or indirectly. There are causes where the death is also observed. Specifically, when you say death, there is a study with the sea turtles where the death is observed with the excessive light. Similarities between light and chemical pollution, if I say it continues, there is a habitat kind of modification. Habitat is something where the animals or the plants live. So it's observed in the coastal ecosystem. The studies show population effect. Yes, there is a population effect. Sea turtles and the birds population is observed in illuminated and non-illuminated area. And even we all can observe this kind of thing, because nowadays we are missing some kind of birds which we used to see earlier when we were young. I think we all are got habituated not to see the house sparrow or the crow, but nowadays they are not there in urban environment, but they are there in the rural environment. So we got habituated. We don't care for this thing when we got habituated. So this kind of thing. There are other certain ecological imbalances it causes. Environmental restoration and the restoration benefits. If I talk about the restoration benefits, the chemical restoration benefits are long term, and with the light pollution, if you do restore it is immediately. There are certain cases which are described in the Ganges River or the Florida coast or the Cedar River. It is observed that restoration benefits are very immediate. Even for the chemical or aquatic kind of pollution or the air pollution, it takes long term to get long term. But here it is this. This is something where it is affecting, how it is affecting the humans, or what kind of impacts it is having on the environment. In a nutshell, this diagram shows that loss of biodiversity is there. It affects the socio-economic aspect, where the security is involved, where the energy efficiency or the work environment is involved. Physiological aspects are there, the chronobiology or the energy metabolism or the sleep behavior or the behavior are there. On the other side, if I look for the ecological aspects, specifically deals with the birds and animals or the plants. So predation, kind of predation, it affects their communication, it affects their migration or orientation, it affects their chronoecology. Ecology that goes with the time is called as chronoecology. It affects the food web, because of this light, animals are changing their food preferences and other things that is there. It affects the evolution. It affects the species richness also. So it is affecting almost each and everything. But the thing is that we got so habituated to light, we just ignore it. We don't care what is happening, what is there. If I say what kind of reactions to the plants and animals have this, to may interfere with the mating activities. In fact, if you remember in the table, I told you that this light affects the reproductive cycle or the reproductive behavior of the animals. It is quite obvious that many of the studies show that it affected the mating activity among the nocturnal species, specifically those species which mate during the night. It affects the zooplanktons from feeding the algae, because there are cases where it has been seen the zooplankton population vanished or they changed their location from this. So this is this. it affects the feeding, especially those who animals which are nocturnal in nature or the which are active during the night. It affects their feeding also. It affects their foraging activities. It affects their food excursions. So these kind of things are there. Other kind of things are there that the strong lights may attract some kind of insects, or they repel some kind of insects, because it is disturbing this particular kind of thing, the insect population, and indirectly or directly it is affecting the pollination methods and pollination rates and flowering and other things. So this thing, migration is again there, because the birds move through the migration and they take some special clues when they migrate. So the light may disrupt their path or may disrupt their location recognizing activity, these kind of things. So they affect, or navigation is also affected. There are some examples. I don't go into the details what kind of effect it have. Basically, there are very few studies are available, but in a nutshell, how it affects the plants, because every kind of plant is having pigment, and that pigment is called as either chlorophyll or anthocyanin or xanthine or some other kind of pigment. I'm sorry if I'm getting too much of technical, but there are pigments which attract the light or which absorbs the light, and then the photochemical reactions occur and the growth of plant affected, and the growth of plant is affected. It is quite possible. Even you may find the differences, the plants which are under the growing under the light, or the plants which are away from the light, same kind of plant, you may find. Even there is a change in their stomatal openings and other things. Even there is a change in their growth and branching pattern and other things. You will find. Sometimes when I observe this thing, I observe one thing: the plants which are growing just under the lamppost or in the areas where they have the lights, they are much more branches. Their leaves fall late as compared to other plants. This you can observe during the autumn or the fall, not in the fall season. You can observe these kind of things. There is differences in these kind of things. There are change in pattern of flowering, change in pattern of fruiting, the size of fruit and other things are observed. But still the things are in very preliminary stage, and if somebody is interested, they can start their research in this area and they can find out. So these phytochromes and all these things affect. It affects the vision of nocturnal animals also. Specifically if I say the owls and other. So this is probably one of the reasons which are not by which we are not observing the nocturnal animals in our vicinity or these things. So because it is affecting the vision of those animals, I'm not going into the details since I was given time till 1. So I have to set up all these things. So retinal neurons are get affected, and that hampers other kind of things. Basically mating activity, which I have told you. There are certain studies on the Tungra frogs are there, which changes the mating activity or kind of insects. I have seen I have observed in certain kind of insects it is there. It is they are animals change their nesting locations, or the frogs change their nesting locations because they don't like or they don't prefer the bright. They have to find out, they have to find some dark areas, so they change the nesting location. And that's why in the towns or in the city we are facing that the animals or the animals are not visible. Feeding excursions, as I told you, for salamander, there are certain studies on the salamander. I'm not going into the details. The feeding habits or feeding things are also affected with this. One thing which is most affected, that is the echolocation process of the bats, because bats locate there or they fly when by the process of echolocation. They produce the radio waves, and then the radio waves are returned back after having collision with one particular obstacle or something. They turn back to the bats receive that, and then they find what kind of obstacle is there, whether it is a small, whether it is a large. But the kind of thing is that it is changing their behavior just because of their the presence of light. They have changed a kind of uh, flight pattern, I can say. Nowadays, these kind of animals fly quite high, not on the surface, on where they were earlier flying. They have changed their habit of flying. They are approaching towards more heights, and because light is there and it is affecting their path, because too many of lampposts are there, too many light is there, and it is also affecting their feeding behavior. So this kind of things you may observe with the flying fox or the micropyropterans or other things. This you can observe. Same kind of things can be observed with the insects also, because earlier we used to see the insects around the light, but nowadays with the change of light or the kind of light, we don't see the kind of insects on the light, because with the advent of this LED and other things, earlier we used to use the fluorescent bulbs or the tube lights or the CFL. As we have seen in the evolution or the development in the light, the kind of light or the equipments what we are using for the light, you will see there is a change in the kind of animals or the kind of insects around the light. Nowadays, with the LEDs, you will not find any kind of insects around that. This is something which I have taken from the Philips side, how the lights are promoted, how the LEDs are promoted. There was one question there: is it true that the LED lights do not attract insects? So this is something. People interpret this particular thing in both the ways, because not attracting insects is somewhat they are not affecting, but some people say when they are attracted towards the light, because they used to get the food from there that was beneficial from them. So it is something which is very controversial, but still the LEDs are affecting the planet or the earth too much. How does it affect the human health? Because this is the path from where the light enters and how it affects. Because if I see it enters from the light, it goes to the brain, it goes to the visual cortex, and in the eye we have different kind of retinal neurons which receives the light, passes through the optic nerve and reaches to the optic lobe, and there it affects. It affects the glaring. Sometimes glaring, all kind of glaring makes us blind for a particular period. And this, all the people, those who drive during on the highways or during the nights, they find this kind of thing. Specifically, the people those who have a habit of driving uh, their vehicle high beam, they are causing problems to the other people, those who are on the road by the same time. So I suggest each and everyone, those who are the part of this particular event, please do not drive on the highway until unless it is required. If it is required, then drive on the highway. Otherwise, don't drive on the highway, because it affects. And most of the accidents which occur during the night, one of the major reason is the high beam. So this high beam is causing glaring, makes the people blind for a moment, and the accident occurs. This kind of thing. Exaggerated darkness is there. So this kind of immediately after that glaring, this kind of thing is this appears, and it happens. It also affects the circadian rhythms. Light also affects the circadian rhythms. If I say what are the circadian rhythms are something which is your daily cycle. It's a cycle of each and every individual. So we know this as clock. This circadian clock affects our physiological process and almost in all the organism, including the human beings. This affects the hormone patterns, and there is one particular hormone which is responsible for this kind of thing, that is called as melatonin. It is released by a particular kind of structure in the brain, which is called as pineal body. Sometimes it is also considered as the third eye of Shiva or Shivji. So this melatonin is released, and this melatonin is there, which affects every kind of activity. It causes disruption of the rhythms, your circadian rhythms, your night rhythms. It can cause insomnia, that means sleeplessness, depression, cancer, cardiovascular disease. And we all are observing. Nowadays, we are observing in a very close manner, because we all are using our phones, and we all are using our phones during the night also. This blue light, which is from the phone screen or LED screens, this is affecting too much. Uh, Sleep disorders are there. Basically, if I say the kind of things, so light directly affects one structure in the brain, which is called as suprachiasmatic nucleus. And that suprachiasmatic nucleus affects the physiology and then to the behavior, because the sleeping patterns come into the behavior, and that is affected by use of excessive light, or by use of LEDs or different kind of lights in our bedroom, or at other places. This affects our thing. And if you would like to notice, you can notice, or you can, if you can do an experiment on yourself, don't use the phone for some time, and then do not use the LEDs in your room. Use some other light source in your room, and then see what it affects and how it affects. You will find the change. Because if you are using the plain yellow, that hydrogen, not hydrogen, that mercury light, which used to be, we used to use earlier, in earlier days, 40-watt tube light, and nowadays we are using. So it makes a difference. It makes a difference in your mood also. So these things can be observed. There's something what we have, the melatonin structure. Melatonin is a hormone, which I told you, and it is how it is affecting, which I told you. Now I come to the kind of lightings, or what kind of things, or what kind of efforts we can use to this. We can decrease the glare, light trespass, or sky glow by our efforts. We can increase the safety security by using the shields. We can conserve the energy, habit and habitat of animals. We should respect. Or human health, what we can do. Nighttime ambience we can provide. I don't know how many people of you miss the nighttime ambience. How many of you see the stars, or you look at the planets, which we used to see, Mars or Venus or other things? What we can do, we are always looking at the source, but we are not looking at the effect. So we must see the effect. As I told you, drive on the low beam, use less illuminated light. There will be no glare, light only when it is needed, uh, energy efficient sources. But there is a controversy for this thing, because LEDs are considered as light efficient sources, energy efficient sources, but they are causing a enormous harm. But still in a novice state, so the reports are not much available, but it is causing harm. One can observe these kind of things. This is something. Unshielded fixtures are there. How it affects is affecting the all over the surroundings. This is shielded fixtures, which minimizes the glare. It minimizes the light directs upward. That means you can have a chances of bright, good sky. I share one experience with you people. In fact, I visited Bangalore last month, after 10 to 15 years. When I used to be there for 15 years, it was quite clear and this thing. But when I visited this time, I was not able to a single star in the city. So it is affected. So we have to do something for this, because still we are unaware of this. This is something which is kind of optimal lighting. We have to do this. We can observe the things. We can observe the sky. It should not affect the animals or the plants. This kind of things are there. These all are theoretical things which I have taken for my students also. So this is there. Why we should care? To save the money, energy, improve safety, increase security, benefit to the animals, benefit to the plants, improve the quality of life, to lessen the greenhouse effects, because ozone depletion and other things are also associated with the light. Because as I told you, there are certain kind of photochemical reactions which occur with this thing, to reduce the global warming and ultimately to preserve the starry night. These are the things, and there are certain things. This is something what we can do. You can see gas station or the petrol pump, what we can do for this. So there are the things. So this is my something which I want to give a message to all of you. I would like to see the starry nights or starlight rather than the straight lines. Here I end up with my thing. If anyone have some question or some thing, they can ask me.
Thank you so much, sir. Any questions, they can raise their hands. If any questions, just open the chat box. If there are no questions, but one of few messages, Dr. Shukla, I got people want to have your slides. If possible, please share your slides. And if you permit, we
Yeah,
can share your
I'll share PDF of these.
Yeah. So this is on the behalf of our speaker. I would like to tell all the participants that we will share the slides of Dr. Shukla with you on the WhatsApp groups once he shares with us. So, Dr. Shukla, I would like to thank you on the behalf of everyone present here, on the behalf of our RC community, and all the people who are joining us from different parts of the world. You have been a wonderful speaker, and secondly, since I also work on toxicology, I totally understand the topic you have taken, the light pollution, which is a new era pollution. It is a new era pollution, and I think very few people are aware about it, and there are very few people are aware about the impacts and the problems associated with the pollution and how to stop it. So I think this is the very first time we have touched this topic in our 8 seminars. This is our 8 seminars that we are doing related to
It's a series of seminars.
yeah, it's a series of them. So thank you so much, and
There are some people those who wanted to ask something. Some Bridge Bandhu
yeah.
and Ashutosh Pathak, Hanuman Prasad Arya, they have raised their hands. Mr. Bridge Bandhu, if you want to ask something,
I didn't get you. But the chat box, Sheila,
nobody has written anything in the chat box, but they have raised their hands.
so they might have done by mistake, right?
Fine, then carry on.
Sometimes it happens that they raise their hands by mistake, so it's fine. So thank you so much, sir. It's a pleasure to
Thank you,
have you.
Mantaji.
I really hope that we'll be keep driving this like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So now it's time for our third and the last female speaker, and she is Dr. Christina Adams, who is working as a researcher, author, and advisor in the different parts of environment, and her expertise is on autism. Like she works on the field, how camel milk can be used to protect or to cure the autism. So she has sent her recorded videos to us of our lectures, so I will request you to try and play the videos.
Greetings from the United States.
This is Christine Adams, and I am and I extend my warm greetings to everyone for the conference under the auspices of Project ISTTP University and our India. It is going to be a great opportunity and the subject of the events, and associated topics. This is a topic that's really close to my heart because I got into studying animals in our early many years ago. I got into this because it turns out that camels are amazing animals and they do a lot of help. I tried to have autism and I did it for help as autism symptoms. And there were no camels. Just couldn't find them. So I had to fly to the camel in their country. And my son got much better overnight. So ever since then, I have written about camels to their milk and use of camel conditions. So this is kind of connected and camel milk is used for these kind of conditions in humans, but also the using them to increase their income. Now, these people that own camels, they are around all over the world, and they have been a lot of times because the animals forage out in the desert farming rocky steppes mountains islands. So often they're like mainstream centers of population. So not a lot of however, these techniques for centuries, but not today's issues. So and they have a lot of special people who keep animals. So that's really important to that information out. It's extremely relevant today because how it must have just people. It's dependent on the use of cameras so the sheep and those. When you talk about data, it's training and some you go out communities, those are the barriers that teach you guys not learn from not. So that's one going in and out, walking around, interacting, and learning how to respect culture and interact, also pass the mission and share rather than you just one by one. So that's very important technique, and you can't really take it from that. Second, this can really help lead to other science. I myself putting them in a journal. It's a case report on chest. And it's used to chest. And in the case report, it's got this kind of 20 times probably literature wise. This is all private research. So, and this computer is tested these large data set activities. However, and you as scientists or teacher scientists with these students, we've never addressed how data is. So this is the kind of data that's actually running today. Whatever your data is, you're going to have to say those changes to set up ideas that can investigate but do not be close to that out. It's not too much point of time because science is always the brain is the science instead of I think you might say that but there's still out there many reasons for God. So as far as it's also there's one big I like to take photos of video and research because later you go back those images Remember, watching the video dance. Yeah, you can back this. Remember, when you're using modeling, and they're using surveillance methods, and you're using just actually helping all that up. You know, that's how it's so I'm going to say when it comes to the camel and players attached to communities, there are many data that dollars on simple national organizations. And then there's they are basically educated about this survey. That's basically one we started. And so see what the so it's nice to see use these factors to see what the balance of that community, but also in certain areas like sometimes plans of livestock. Yeah, you know, resources for science, water, and raising crops, and sometimes using the data and actually very much okay, so
The next.
so we talked about how the use of technology can decrease further conflict by there being scarce resources such as grazing or water access or routing through villages. And these plans data to show these resources that they seek are available. So that's one good look at technology and health conservation. So I'm going to go ahead and close on the know that there is a lot of things to do. So young scientists and young career people, I'd like you to please know that you can contribute. You do not have to be a scientist. You do not have to be a journalist. All of us really need to look at what's going on and contribution to environmental scientists. And then also for later stage career scientists, there's a lot left to do. The capacities in the cabinet power, health, and environmental conservation. And it's because the more that people find how valuable it is to take the land that is traditionally belonged to pastoralists and restrict it so that the grazing is restricted and developments like that. You benefits humans in some ways, but it takes away things that we can never get back, such as the animals, and the knowledge we're gaining from people like especially animal pastoralists, sheep and pastoralists, and many including anything. So incredible knowledge from camels and pastoralists and people like that, and other people that are involved with wildlife is really key to science and human health. As we know, we have lots of chronic issues happening these days, chronic diseases, and more relevant approaches on these things. So I'm going to include here to focus on this. You'd like to learn more about camels, pastoralists, and the importance of what we can learn from pastoralist people and the importance to us. Connect with me. My website is Christina. I'm on Twitter at Christina Bing. I'm on Instagram at Christina Amazon. And there have been videos on YouTube where I discuss these topics. I am raising Christina behind me. It talks about pastoralist peoples and my own adventure, model them, learning and sharing knowledge and science I've gained by being aligned with them. And it's got a mini story that you might. And it actually has 4 chapters of the other pastoralist people that I've been working. So I'm happy to showcase many stories of India. And my greatest congratulations to Raj Rishi Hans and their continuing efforts in this important environmental path. It's very gratifying to see this continuing. And I enjoy my visit to Alpha there in August and talking to countries. This is a great effort. And I'm so glad to see it continue. Okay, have a good conference, everyone. Bye-bye. I remember here's a town meeting. We miss you. And I have an amazing conference that going well. Thanks again for letting me just slip in there the best way I could. I have too much going on this weekend. But just amazing. Okay. Bye.
And therefore, the Christina Andrews, and she's a researcher, author, and advisor in the United States of America. She was on the user of autism. And you can visit her website if you want to get some more information regarding the same. And with this, we come to the end of the second day of ISTTP-4. And I will extend my heartfelt thanks to all the speakers who are very learned and knowledgeable scientists of the field, and they have spared a valuable time to be with us here in this studio. I would like to thank all the speakers that we, the organizers, and all the participants are very happy and delighted to have you here with us. I hope you all had a good time with us. As I told you before, people are looking once again feedback from the full ISTTP. I'm getting so many messages that feedback. We will have only one feedback form and it will submit in the channels any of the days we are working. So I would request everyone to please stay logged in. And I would request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback for us because your critical groups are very important for us to get through. Now, this is Dr. Sharma, Organizing Secretary of ISTTP-4, along with my team, Sheila, signing off from the campus of Rajrishi of Autonomous Knowledge World. I see you also in the part of new speakers. We will have a long list tomorrow and we have many speakers tomorrow. So I will see you all at sharp 11 there. Standard time. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day. Have a fabulous day. Thank you so much.